While selling your property during the wintertime, you're going to find there are certain things that if you do this, it's going to make it a lot more difficult to sell your property than it would be if you had gotten this stuff taken care of. My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm a realtor in South Central Alaska, and my mission is to help you to build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching you in real estate. And today, we're going to be talking about the top 6 things that if you do this, it's probably going to doom your house to not sell during the wintertime. Before we get started though, do make sure you give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and let's jump into today's video. Now, the first big mistake that I see people making when they're selling their property during the wintertime is not taking pictures during the peak sunlight hours. I've seen some pictures where it's obviously taken like just before dusk or just at sunrise or something like that. And it doesn't really show particularly well just because, anything that has more sunlight in it is going to show a lot better. And you want kind of that natural soft sunlight instead of the sunlight and light that we can create on our own through flashes and stuff like that. If you're looking at the exterior of the house specifically and we just have kind of this dark, dusky look to it, there's really no amount of editing that's going to make that look better, okay? So really you want to make sure the lighting is as good as possible and you take the pictures during the time of day when you have as much light as possible. It's not a very big window sometimes during the winter time, but we need to hit that as best we can. This second one, and oh my word, this is so important, trying to keep your house too cold during the winter time because you want to save a little bit on the heating bill can really set your house back if you're trying to sell it. I understand if you're not currently living in the house, it's like, oh, we're not there, let's set it down to 60 or something like that because we're not there and people are going to be wearing coats anyway. But you want that house as soon as people walk in to feel warm and inviting and receptive. The last thing you want is for people to walk in and to be shivering. I remember one time I did a showing, I drove for about 2.5 hours to show this property. We got there and it was cold. They kept it at like 55 degrees in there. My clients were like shivering when they were inside the house, and impossible for someone to feel a whole lot of warm connection to a property when they're that cold. So set it at like 68, 70, something like that. Make it comfortable. It's better that it's too hot than it being too cold. Because, again, we want to give the impression of it being a very warm and inviting kind of a house. And that's a big opportunity during the wintertime because everyone's cold. And having it nice and warm on the inside is really going to create a whole lot of the good vibes that we're talking about. So yes, don't try to be cheap. It's going to end up costing you more money in the long run because it's probably going to sit on the market for a little bit longer and you're not going to have as much competition for your house than if you had just turned up the heat a little bit and made it feel warm and receptive to everyone that was going in and looking at it. So easy tip there, hopefully. Let's take a break real quick. If you've been watching this channel for any amount of time, you do know that I focus primarily on the South Central Alaska area. And while that's going to remain the case moving forward, we are actually going to be partnering with our colleagues across the entire state to bring you market updates for what's going on inside the markets of each one of the big market centers here in the state of Alaska, looking at Fairbanks, Kenai, Homer, Kodiak, and Juneau/the Southeast area. So this is going to be a very exciting project called the Trailblazer Project. I've not seen this done in any other state before, where we are bringing you all the market updates for the entire state under the roof of one channel. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So when you guys are seeing market updates coming from people who aren't just me on the channel, you know what's going on there. If you guys are really nice, then we might actually be able to convince some of these folks to actually provide some more content and talk specifically about what it's like living in their market. So when you see these videos pop up, make sure to jump over there, give them plenty of likes, plenty of love, give them lots of comments. And just know that that's fulfilling kind of the mission we still have on the YouTube channel to help you build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching you in real estate, whether that be in South Central Alaska or anywhere else in Alaska that we have our colleagues in at the moment. So just want to make you aware of that, and let's go and finish today's video. This next one's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, and that is if you are away from your property, like let's say you already moved out of state, you're just trying to sell the property right now, you need to make sure that you're still making sure the driveway and the walkway is cleared away. Because if, it does a couple things. Number one, if you drive up to a property and you're about to show it, and the driveway is just like 2-3 feet of snow on there, and no one's obviously lived here for a long time, then that doesn't give a great curb appeal impression. In the wintertime, there's not a whole lot of curb appeal to begin with, but if you've got that much snow that's just sitting out there, that doesn't do great things for your curb appeal either, because people start subliminally wondering, hey, what else is going on? What else are they not taking care of that we should be worried about? So they haven't done the most basic maintenance they can possibly do here. What else have they been neglecting? Whether that's fair or not, that's probably going to be something they're going to be wondering in the back of their mind. So even if you're not here, you need to make sure you have services and people set up that can go out there and get that taken care of for you, because that's going to make enormous difference for you when you're trying to sell a house during the wintertime. And it's just makes such a better impression when your buyers are able to just walk straight up to the door on a well-paved and preferably iced driveway, as opposed to making them having to do this leapfrog thing where they're trying to follow behind in your footsteps. So way better impression, and you're going to be fighting uphill if you make them have to do that. But let's go and take a break here real quick. For those of you who've been watching for a bit, you do know that I have a seller guide for those of you who are considering getting your property on the market real quick here, probably in the next 6 months to a year. And what it does is it kind of walks you through what the process is like for getting your property on the market. So if that's something you're considering, do feel free to reach out to me on my website. Link for that is in the description section down below. And all you do is you just go in there and you put seller guide in the little comment section so I know what to send you, and we'll send it off to you from there. Now, let's go and finish up today's video. Now, another big thing that can be a problem for you if you are selling your property during the wintertime is ice damming. So what ice damming is when you have a big collection of ice right there on the eaves of the house. And a lot of what this is you have like heat that's escaping from a certain part of the house, and it's melting and it's going down, and it's just getting frozen right there at the edge of the roof. And that's not great, and I'm sure I'm not explaining that 100% correct. So if you're a contractor or a handyman, don't hate me. But if you know your property has a lot of ice damming in it, then it's better to get that taken care of ahead of time if you possibly can, than letting it go into the wintertime and now the buyers see it and that's going to be making an impression on them. This next one is not entirely under your control, but I'm going to throw it out here anyway. But if you have a super steep driveway, I mean a really steep driveway, and there's a good chance people are going to get stuck in the driveway during the wintertime if they don't have four-wheel or all-wheel drive, then that could be a problem if you're selling during the wintertime. The biggest thing I can say for this is if you know you have a steep driveway, then it's even more important to make sure that stays clear, and you keep a lot of gravel out there to make sure that nobody, let's use this as a standard. If me driving around in my Honda Accord hybrid, if I can still get out of your driveway even with that, then congratulations, you've succeeded. That's really your level of your standard right there. If I can get out of your driveway, you driving what I drive, then that's going to be a really good indication that it's good. You've got enough gravel out there and it's cleared enough. That's not a great impression if people are slipping and sliding, getting stuck at the bottom of the hill. As soon as that happens, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a no-go for whoever it is that's looking at it. Last but not least, as always with a video like this, I'm going to say if your property is overpriced, it is probably not going to sell. And this isn't just special to the wintertime, it's really all times of the year. But buyers are very educated these days. They have instant access to all the search apps, and they can see exactly what all the houses are priced for that are actually selling. And if your property is overpriced, it is going to be obvious to buyers almost instantly. Okay, there's no pulling the wool over their eyes, or hopefully they just don't realize what the other properties are selling for. That's not the world we live in anymore. And if you're overpriced, it's going to be super obvious. And I've kind of talked about this in other videos before. I don't believe that if you have a house that can get $400,000 during the wintertime, that house is going to magically be getting like $450,000 or something like that during the summertime. So I know a lot of people think that if they sell during the summertime, they're going to get more money. Possibly, but I think the factors are probably not for the reasons that you think. I think it probably has more to do with the fact that you have more time for the property to appreciate if you sold during the summertime versus when you sell during the wintertime. So I think that has more to do with it. That, and I think just the more expensive houses go onto the market during the summertime. And so that's, also dragging up the overall price for houses during that time. So I don't necessarily think you get more during the summertime versus the wintertime. If you do, it probably has more to do with the fact that you have more time for the property to actually appreciate, which, lately that's been pretty significant. But these have been the 6 things that can doom your house to not selling in the wintertime in Alaska when you're trying to sell. I hope it's been useful. If you have any other questions, do feel free to reach out to me in either my website down below or on my Facebook page. Both of those are linked down below, so make sure to go take advantage of those, and we'll see you next time.